Always the most important thing. So State, Ellsworth, North Lincoln, Highland, North Union, the heavily Southeast Boulevard, heavily traveled roads are going to get the first attention. Then we call secondary roads, and then from there we go out. Eventually, if there's time, usually not with this much snow, we try to get the alleys. That's the last responsibility that we have. Snow continued to fall throughout the day. State of emergency was in effect for the entire state. As of Monday, there was no businesses were supposed to be open unless they were essential. But we did a great job. Had most of that snow off. State Street was clean. The mains were clean. It was sometime late Monday. We had a plan as we progressed. These plans are fluid. You can write them down and we have them, but they change. So the plan was to come in, I'm trying to get my dates right, I think it was Tuesday morning at midnight and to clear downtown. Did that to try to not invade with the businesses. So we have to block. And ODOT's not real happy, but we block at Lincoln and we block at Ellsworth. It's the only safe way to do that. So we did that. In 8 hours, the street department took out 60 truckloads of snow and moved them out in that 8-hour period. We were able to open up State Street shortly after 8 a.m. and was able to conduct somewhat of business. And I don't know if the state of emergency was still in effect in Columbus with the governor or not, but our businesses were open, people were parking on the streets. The guys, the street department did a tremendous job. We continued to push snow. On Wednesday, we came back out then and did Broadway. We took out 30 truckloads of snow on Broadway. And so just so you give an idea, that's 90 truckloads. That's about 750 tons of snow.
Where do we take it?
We take it out on Pershing and Cunningham. If you ever want to come back and see it, we'll be happy to show you. There's a pad that's padded, that's paved back there, and it's stacked up pretty high. And obviously there's a system in place. We have 3 or 4 trucks dumping, but we have to have a front end loader there to push it up. And the other guys, we have the skid loader helping the front end loader. Here, our second front end loader, fill the trucks as quick as possible. A couple years ago, we did this. We didn't have the proper equipment, so we went out and bought basically a skid loader snow blower. It's an attachment that goes on front of the skid loader, and it works unless the snow is very fluffy and light, which this snow was. So we tested it out first up in the street department, and we were only getting about half the snow in the truck because the wind would blow it and it was so light, so we couldn't use it. So we went back to the old skid loader. We'd push it up, the front end loader would get it and load the trucks. So, 750 tons of snow is pretty good. By Wednesday, we are pretty much back to normal. And the goals are, ODOT's big saying is, which I kind of like, our roads are passable, they're not perfect. So you have to understand the conditions. You have to drive accordingly. So you can't drive like it's a dry pavement. Then this week, we came back out, and yesterday and today, we did Lundy and Penn. So we took another 20 truckloads of snow up to our pad there and cleaned that. So we're pretty much in good shape. Once again, I oversee the street department. That department did all the work. So we have a plan, we manage it, and we move forward with it. We're actually down a person, so we had one less vehicle out there. One of the guys had surgery, so we were down one. So said it works better when they're in tandems. It just goes so much more efficiently, but still under the circumstances did a great job for the city. So we're getting ready for Friday, supposedly 1 to 3 inches, which is a dusting compared to what we had. We don't see any major concerns unless the weather changes. And, this is what our street department, they're used to it. They're on call. They know it. And they have the right attitude. They're there. They come out. They know it. So the city's blessed to have people like that here as employees. So if you have any other questions or.
I do. Thank you very much for your report. I appreciate it, and for your work and the work of the streets department. I appreciate your review of the timeline so that we can understand. Is a part of your emergency preparedness plan, your tabletop exercise, however you prepare for these things, to announce to the public, not just the parking ban, but our streets department will be in the downtown to reopen the streets on such and such a day, and then perhaps a secondary update for things like the closure of Lundy. I know the work needs to be done, the snow needs to remove, the volume is obviously enormous, but to let people know that Lundy will be closed for such and such a time, or Penn will be closed for such and such a time, to advise the public.
I agree that probably should have a better job of for notifying on Lundy and Penn, because it was dirt, trying to minimize overtime, did not take it out overnight, so that probably could have been done better, and that's on me, I agree. I don't know if we would like to get into the process of reporting every move we make ahead of time, because once again, the challenge we have is, it's like with parking bans. The reason I didn't put it a time late, everybody else was putting a deadline, Monday, and then you gotta go and change it. So I just said to further notice. My concern is we start telling people what we're gonna do, and something comes and changes, and then it doesn't happen. I'm not opposed to having further discussion on it and what the pros and cons of it are, but is it really, I mean,
There was a variation in expectation, though. Some of the businesses, despite the state emergency ban and despite the parking ban, were still expecting to be open on Monday, and then that did not become reality
but you
until
can't
Tuesday.
be open.
I hear you. I'm just talking about communication, that's all.
Okay,
I
I mean,
fully understand where you're coming from.
Go ahead, Joe.
Madam Chairman, may I ask a question?
Mhm.
Joe, is there a way, since you don't have Facebook, and a lot of people in Salem don't have Facebook, because that's social media, in my opinion, that we can do something on TextMyGov in these situations to where you could just say, we're getting there as fast as we possibly can, to where it's an open-ended situation, but we'll be there. Give us time, give them hope, at least give them some sort of
I'm sure that can be done. And we
information
have,
at all. Because I think sometimes when people don't have information, they don't think any help is coming. They don't know what's
assume
going
the
on.
worst.
Yeah, they assume the worst.
I
and that's-
understand.
Well,
Um,
instead of Facebook and text.gov and all this stuff, or in addition to that, why don't you just order some big, very bright orange signs that can go on every light post downtown that says, you can't park here right now. If you do, we're gonna tow you and you're gonna pay for the tow.
No,
Ms.
no.
Harrington, I was referring to the snow removal process, not the parking. I apologize.
Well, they had to tow 80 cars, right?
the
Makes the snow removal harder.
the main snow removal, which is our main corridor, which is a state route, we did shut down the road when there was a state of emergency. I mean, when the governor dictates something, it goes beyond the city. You know, we just do. And if you want to open up, like, that's on you. I mean, I can't tell a business owner what they want to do and what they don't want to do.
So
But you have to be somewhat reasonable, I think.
I guess my only thought on that is that, yes, while there was a state of emergency, Columbiana County does not follow the levels, so technically, we don't have to shut down. So the businesses can stay open. We weren't at a level 3 like certain places. Did we get enough snow to be at that? Yes, but we don't follow that. I mean, Columbiana County doesn't, Stark doesn't, and neither does Mahoning County. Hence why I was required to go to work. So I mean, as much as I agree with you, and there was an astronomical amount of snow, I don't think that it could have been done any better as far as what you were capable of doing. I commend what they did immensely, but I also understand our business owners, and I think they just need to know what the expectation is, and that is where that kind of lies. Like, you can't predict it. You couldn't say, yes, by 4 o'clock Monday, we were gonna have all the snow cleared. Nobody knew we were gonna get 8 or 18 inches of snow, because in my backyard, there's 18 inches. So I commend what they did. I completely understand it. I think we just need to be a little more, this is just my opinion, but I think that what the business owners need is a little more communication as far as, and when you, I don't know that at 9 a.m. when an email was sent that some businesses couldn't open because the snow wasn't removed on Monday morning, that they could have expected you to have a timeline at that point.
It was still snowing.
It was still snowing. But by that evening or that afternoon, I know that once there was a lot of communication going on that people were upset, that's when we did find out that you had intended to go back out at midnight. I think once you made that decision to go back out at midnight, that's when it would have been great to update them right then and there. Again, I get it. These are businesses. They need to be open, you know, for their livelihoods as well. That being said, I know a lot of people couldn't even get out of their own driveways. So there's that.
And once again, there's expectations. I mean,
There are.
is it assumed that we are required to remove the snow? Because the snow is the responsibility of the business owners.
That was actually my next.
You know, so that's the
It
other
is.
thing.
It is.
So, and then do we treat certain business owners different than other business owners? You know, so what direction are you trying to give the administration and to move forward? We're doing the best we can with what we have, and you're in the middle of the battle. I'm not thinking at midnight or 1 o'clock, hey, we should send out a text my gov,
I don't
and then I
disagree.
don't have that. I don't look at the police department's Facebook page, you know, timeliness with the newspaper, nobody, you know, there's only so many avenues you can go. So, and I'm not making excuses, all I'm just saying is, what are the level of expectations and whose responsibility ultimately is it?
And I think we need to set those. I think that's part of it. We need to set what the expectations are, so there's no question going forward. I don't know what those might be, though, at the moment. Go ahead, Jeff.
My question is this, you brought up a good point. Is there a resolution or ordinance, because I couldn't find one, that dictates a process on whose responsibility it is to remove the snow? Was this a goodwill gesture on the city's part? Was
It
this?
just says the duty to keep the sidewalks in repair and clean, whatever that means. No owner or occupant of abutting land shall fail to keep the sidewalks, curbs, or gutters in repair and free from snow, ice, or any nuisance. That's 521.06
In zoning?
in our
Yeah,
ordinance.
you're correct. It's
Yes.
in the zoning ordinance.
Mhm.
But that's the only place I could find it. I didn't see
Yeah, I mean,
where it said the city's responsibility was removing snow in
But-
downtown area.
is it, what areas
good-
of the city do we remove snow from?
I think the main concern
That's
was
the
that,
question.
obviously, there was so much snow that there was no place for the business owners to put snow.
Okay?
But again, we're all in the same position.
But downtown, we're talking about
Downtown,
downtown.
I'm talking downtown.
Yeah.
This
So we
city
don't-
center.
If I may,
Yeah.
Mike, go ahead.
Yeah, Madam Chair, if I can ask a question, what was the parking ban? There was a parking ban set?
Yes.
Till when? When was the deadline for the parking?
It was, we lifted it, sent out text my gov at Tuesday at 4 o'clock to be lifted at 5 PM on Tuesday.
Okay, and we're speaking of Monday is when the businesses were concerned about, so regardless, no one could park downtown anyways.
Correct.
And they had to
Legally.
walk the sidewalks or the roads to get to the.
Correct, which weren't.
Yeah.
Sure.
My only comment is that in the downtown, I would say that there is a special circumstance, not by ordinance, but by practicality, in that if you are a resident and responsible for your sidewalk, you can blow your snow into your own yard. In the case of the downtown businesses, and please keep in mind that there are also residents that live in the downtown. Their cars need to be parked somewhere, usually adjacent to the building, but that is their residence. Where the question remains, where do you put that snow? Even if they've cleared it in a passable path, we'll say that they're in, say, just for the sake of argument, say that they've created a 3-foot path. Where is, and this is an open-ended question, right?
Yes.
Where does that snow go in an emergency situation like this? And then during a regular snowfall?
Well, and you're using, you know, we have to be careful the terms we use.
Sure.
You know, what's regular, what's extreme, or whatever, so parameters there. But the other thing is, it
I
says
can
you
give
have
those
to keep
parameters.
it clean. If there's that much snow, then I guess you, as the property owner, has to take the next step to get rid of it. It doesn't say, we expect the street department to come downtown. Do we expect to go through the east end? Do we go to the west end? What, put it in the ordinance, and we'll do whatever council and the mayor decides to do. We're here to serve.
Then in
It's
that
just,
case, I would designate it as the C3, because the C3.
I'm sorry?
I would designate it, my recommendation would be to designate the C3, which is the downtown, which is the commercial zone, because in other instances, like East End and so on, there are still yards there are large parking lots, et cetera. There is space for snow to go. In the downtown, we don't have those actual physical parameters.
So you're saying, what, if you're in a C3, then the city will be responsible for removing excessive
Yeah,
high
we talked
snow? Is that what you're,
That's what we've just done.
Isn't C3 outside of that area also, though?
C3 is just Ellsworth, Lincoln,
Broadway.
You're
Pershing.
talking Second Street Plaza, you're talking all that stuff?
No, inside.
I mean, just,
There-
once again,
My opinion, Joe, and I do not show any disrespect by interrupting. My opinion would be that we have a lot of rules in the city after I've looked at a lot of ordinances and a lot of hearsay rules that aren't written down that we do, that are, whether it's kind gestures, whether it's things we've always done in the past, that this sounds to me like it needs to be written down in a form that's good with everybody, the city, the business owners, because if they have a business downtown, it's to draw businesses downtown, because hey, we'll take care of your snow for you, or whatever the case is, however the ordinance reads, but then you have a written down plan
That sounds great.
Mhm.
in an ordinance. You can come from the safety committee or rules and ordinances, and you guys can come up with it.
and, I mean,
President.
you should get
But I mean,
input.
it makes a lot more sense than.
But you have the DSP, I
Going
mean,
back
Will's
and
forth.
here,
Which Will's
I'm
here.
sure I know we've talked a little bit on a sidebar. They have some, high-level potential plans of what they wanna do, and whether it could be implemented or not, and enforced or participation, I
Well, we
don't
have to
know,
make it
there's all
policy.
these things, so I don't know if Will's gonna speak tonight
Well,
or at
I was
the,
gonna say, I
reg-
did
regular
ask Will
council
to
meeting.
come.
but, it's good to hear them, but, just so you know, you can say C3 is different, but, other people are gonna have comments, which I get from time to time. I'm a city resident, I pay taxes, is one business getting treated different than another? And once again, that's what council does. You make the ordinances and we will implement them and make sure they're enforced. That's what we're here, as a service.
I get it, but as Sarah said, that made sense, was it draws businesses to set up shop in our downtown because we'll do a little extra for you. I mean, it makes sense to me, but it's not written anywhere.
Uh,
Right. And I do
It
think that
makes-
we need to set
it's not written
parameters.
down.
Obviously, in this time frame, you cleared it in 48 hours downtown. I mean, I don't know that we could even expect the city to do it any quicker. I don't know how we would
Not
without
with-
more
Not
manpower.
with 7 people in a department.
Right,
My driveway was too full.
same.
We also have to be careful too, what kind of example we're setting as far as when are we expected to do it?
Right.
You know what I mean, like you
Well,
mentioned.
my recommendation would be during snow emergencies.
Emergency, that's the
right?
key
This is an
words I think
emergency
here, 'cause
situation
you get
that requires two things, state of emergency,
state of emergency,
right?
yep,
Mhm.
And the
100%.
parking ban.
Yep.
And I would not be worried about depth of snow.
Yeah.
I wouldn't fiddle around with that.
Yeah.
I would say those 2
Yeah,
points.
because you could have ice that could be an ice
Sure you
storm
could.
or something, yeah.
Sure you could.
Mhm.
And we go into a parking ban when it's at least 4 inches, so it
Right.
could be as little as 4 inches, and we would have a no parking on any city street, so. And once again, there's a whole things to discuss and take further, and, I appreciate, and we do this, we've already done this as a team, reflect on what we did, what could we have done better, how could we get communication? Because as you pointed out, that's the number one thing in life. I don't care if it's personal or business, it has to be communicated. It's just, we have more ways to do it, but it seems like still a lot of people don't get the message through all those different, and I don't know how you do it any different.
Short of driving through the streets with a bullhorn, I don't even.
We have Text My Gov, and we've been trying, we finally went over 2,000 people that have it, but it's not just all Salem residents, if you have family in Cleveland, they can be on it.
Yeah,
But it's free other than a text message, but it's such a vital tool for us. We pay good money for it, but we can only send out so many too. We buy 75 or 100,000 text messages for a certain amount of money, then we go over, we have to buy more. So we try to, we use it when we can. I mean, it's not an exorbitant amount of money, but it's another budgeted item for us, so.
What about a mailer? A mailer for just letting them know about that number, about that, you know what I mean? So
once we
Those are
come
the
up
water
with.
bills, correct?
Yeah,
Yeah,
the water
once-
bill,
Oh, they
we've
have it on
used
there?
that
Okay, okay.
quite a bit as far as for what.
Well, what I'm saying, like that Text My Gov, like you're saying that people don't know about it or something,
Right.
because
We
honestly.
already did that. We sent out,
Okay.
Yeah.
in the water bill in November, we sent out, again, we do it at the Super Cruise. I mean,
Okay.
we've been working. It's a great tool. It is absolutely a great tool for the city, and it gets it out quick. And obviously, you're getting more than 2,000. The word spreads just like social media, maybe not as well, but we have now just reached out. Actually, this morning, we had a meeting with Text My Gov, which is based in Utah. They have a way to get additional numbers for us. So we're gonna find out how many that is, and we could be hopefully increasing that number significantly here in the next couple months.
Would would there be I don't think you could do it much faster than what you did, and that plan that you did seemed to work. Couldn't we just broadcast that more, like, hey, we're gonna hit these streets, and then we're gonna get to the downtown in about 2 days, if it's
Within
an
48
emergency, if
hours.
it meets these two things. I don't think we're gonna beat that. And
Well,
I thought
and
it was a great plan, I thought it was, you guys did a wonderful job. I think people are complaining, they don't even know, it's like, we already have the people there, we're using all our resources, and we have this. I think people are complaining about stuff that we're like, we were already doing that. So I think if we communicate that just a little bit more clear, and we just constantly say, here's the plans, this
Well,
is
and
emergency coming.
I think that's right. If we set a parameter, if they would, if people in the downtown would have known that within 48 hours of the snow ceasing, I mean, I hate to say that, but honestly, if the downtown people knew that within 48 hours of it ceasing, that the city would have cleared down there wouldn't have been a question. There wouldn't have been the backlash, because they would have had an expectation. You know, and that's going to take place if we can come up with a good parameter for that in general.
And just, you know, as I try to always send messages out, weather permitting, or is it give you kind of escape hatch, that, hey, we could say 48 hours, but a plow could go down, a tractor could go down, a truck can go down, it happens all, you run these, you know, trucks all the time. So there are, just so they don't, you know, hold you to the letter of the law all the time.
caught in a trick bag.
Right. No, I don't.
And you just have to be a reasonable person. If you're reasonable, we can get through this all together. But we're on top of this. We just didn't wake up and say, hey, I wonder what we're gonna do today. I mean, the plan was in place, it's been done before. So, and we have, I said, an experienced crew at the street department. And they go above and beyond. And not just in the wintertime, but they really shine in the wintertime.
Well, I do thank you, and I appreciate you coming and giving us a little more insight. I do want to give Mr. Klein
No,
a chance to speak, just to get his perspective as a downtown business owner.
Poor guy. Will Klein, President of the Downtown Salem Partnership. Thank you for inviting me tonight to kind of give my perspective. I think the final and ultimate solution is we all move the city south, like further south than Key West, because it's pretty cold there and the iguanas are falling out of trees.
They're selling them on the black market.
And they're selling them on the black market.
We could just dump them in the town.
Sorry, Jeff.
So what I would say is this is good that you're doing an after-action review from a state of emergency situation. You can cut a lot of hairs and you can do the woulda, coulda, shouldas. Ultimately, you did it right. You had a plan, you executed the plan. Is everyone gonna be in the loop? There's always gonna be one. And being a business owner, we're business owners at our own risk, straight up. We make our own decisions. We decided, I wasn't even in the state of Ohio, 'cause I was just getting back in the country. We decided to close down our shop on Monday. We're not gonna put our employees at risk. That was our decision. You're not gonna be able to get everyone, all right? You're doing a great job of communicating in multiple ways. It's getting out to people. You're gonna have one. My question is from this, don't pole vault over a mouse turd for one or two people who didn't get the memo. The bigger thing was you had a plan. You had a state of emergency, you had a plan, and it was executed flawlessly. Okay? That's my opinion. Now, as DSP president, what I would like to see is a private-public partnership to answer the broader question of all the other times. Because yes, it is the business owners. I think it's, what's the ordinance say, the business owner? What I would say is, well, property owner.
Property.
So it's really the property owner, the building owner is responsible for making sure the sidewalk is passable. Which means then, if I'm the building owner, then that sidewalk is my sidewalk. I'm responsible for it. Yet you have ordinances that limit what I can do on my sidewalk. So whose sidewalk is it? Is it yours or is it mine? So there is a way we have to clean up the murkiness of, Jeff, to your point, we've got some inconsistencies in our ordinances. So looking at the consistency of who owns it, who's responsible for moving stuff. Well, that's a public-private partnership. There is a cost that the city incurs in overtime when they have to surge into something like we just went through, which also means we have to rely on property owners to take care of it in the meantime. What I would propose is consider the public-private partnership is, you got a zone, make it a maintenance zone, if you will, and you have to have a surge force. Military, we have active duty. We have reserve and National Guard. It's very cost effective to call up the National Guard and reserves when you need them. You're not paying them when you don't. But when they're there, they help surge the regular employees at a much lower cost because you don't have the legacy cost. So what does that look like? We've got a lot of really good small businesses that move snow in our community. Put it out for bid. Say, we need consistent street and sidewalk maintenance in the downtown through these seasons. When you have 2 inches of snow, you come in, you move all the snow and put down the salt for all the building owners. For that, I don't know how you guys want to figure it out, but I call it a maintenance fee. Now, just out of happenstance, I happen to be out of the state once again during New Year's when you had another snow. Somehow I keep missing these snowstorms, which is great. Out of curiosity, I called up a friend of mine and I said, if you were to remove all the snow off the sidewalks in downtown Salem, what would you charge to do that? I mean, Pershing, Lundy, Penn, all the way out, the door zone. What does he call it, Sarah?
Yeah, it's a C3.
The C3 zone. Whether there's snow or not, with material, $32,000.
How long is that contract for? What is that?
They would want a 2-year commitment,
Okay.
but it'd be $32,000 a year with material. And the estimate, half of that was material.
And by material, you're referring to salt?
Salt.
Thank you.
Okay.
And their equipment.
And they would have to buy an additional piece of equipment that does sidewalks. Because it would be, well, they would have to surge additional equipment because they have other contracts where they're doing sidewalks and parking lots and stuff for private companies.
Are you only talking during these emergencies for that
Nope,
money?
always, always. If there's 2 inches of snow, they clean off the sidewalks in downtown. No legacy cost to the city. Now, how does it get paid for? Well, that's the public-private partnership.
What's your fees to the businesses to help the cost?
Not to the business. See, I
Property
think we
owner.
need to stop mincing the words. Business owner, building
Property
owner.
Sorry.
My water bill comes to my building owner. I'm the building owner, I get the water bill.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I would say building owners, because they're the ones in the ordinance that are responsible for making sure that sidewalk is clear. So if you put it in as a maintenance, downtown maintenance fee for that zone, you've now taken the bulk of the booger off of his back in the street department. With the exception, and I do agree with the recommendations I've heard here, when you have a snow emergency, they have to surge in and help. Because obviously even a private business, they don't have, how many dump trucks you have? Front end loaders?
Yeah.
I mean, there would have to be that partnership because that is a bunch of snow.
Yeah.
Get that. But that is a way that I think we could, one, get consistency all the time, whether the building is occupied or not, because that's the other pain point. Great, you got, tattoo guys are out there shoveling and keeping their building clean, and then you have snow, because there's no one there that's gonna clean it. So there's no consistency with the vacant buildings. And so I think if you put it on there, I talked to another community, they basically have it the same way as we have here in Salem with a surge. They do that, they have the parking bans. If there is a building that is vacant, if they clean it, they tack the cost of doing that onto the tax bill of the building owner to pay for that. I don't care how we do it. We got, 100 buildings in downtown?
Approximately, yes.
I'm sorry, $32,000 a year is nothing divided by 100. And it takes the problem off the city and it gets us consistent maintenance on those sidewalks for walkability, safety, and aesthetics, because we're trying to attract people to our community.
So my only question to that is, what is the priority? So in this instance, obviously the priority was our streets, and then they got to this. So this private company, I'm assuming they also have contracts for, you know, other larger businesses that they're doing plowing and everything. You know, what priority would the downtown be?
Well, I think, so two different things. Priority is who's their biggest paying customer, right? They also are, they're manning their staff through the winter to cover their demand signal for any snow. The surge process is, you've already got the priority. I don't think what the city did was inappropriate. The first thing I would have done is exactly what the city did. You need to open up your major veins of transportation for at least the safety vehicles to get into the community. The population, yeah, we have people who live downtown, but that is not the bulk of your population. So opening up those main roads so emergency vehicles can get to people in the population, that was number one.
Right.
The businesses stayed, you know, you have a snow emergency, not supposed to be open. So that wasn't the priority. So the time frame in which the city hit it, based on the fluid nature of, I don't know, Mother Nature, I didn't see anything wrong with that. But I think the priority is when you write out the scope of work, that's how you nail it in. This is the expectation. If you accept this contract, then downtown is the priority and you have to maintain this within a certain time frame. You just put it in the scope of work and put it out for bid, and whatever company comes, and have covenants put into that. I mean, this is just business negotiation. Put a covenant. If you don't, then we dock how much we're gonna pay you. You give up, you forfeit 5% because you didn't do what you said you were gonna do,
Right.
or 10%. You know what I'm saying? You just build out the negotiation on it. How it's funded, and the reason DSP, I mean, the question was asked, would DSP do this? No, we can't. We're a volunteer. I mean, I don't get paid for this. I'm a volunteer. So that's where the private-public partnership, I think, that concept, I think, is something we need to probably look into. And it could be expanded beyond the snow. It could be expanded into, you know, leaf removal and trash cans and watering the planters, things that right now maybe the city is doing. Just bake that into the scope of work, so now it's a 365 contract. Ideas.
Right, so additional services.
Sorry.
Additional services. So, but, long and short of it, Joe, folks did a great job.
Yeah, and I think more importantly, do we have any injuries, any lost time accidents, anything? I mean, that's, I think, you know, the main priority too. You know, you came out of this with no accidents and no damage to, well, there might have been a few bumps on the trucks, I'm sure. But
Yep. Yeah, I think you can always improve the communication plan. Don't get me wrong, but you're still gonna always have one.
And help me understand, the city is responsible for clearing the streets. The city is not responsible for clearing the sidewalks.
Correct.
Who is responsible for that, the building owner or the business owner?
Building.
Building owner, okay.
That gets parsed.
Who is going to, there was a proposal for a contract with local firms to clear the sidewalks of $30-some thousand. Who pays for that?
I would say that would be the public-private partnership, and it would be put on the building owners to support that.
But I mean,
Through-
who would negotiate that? Who would negotiate that contract with the local snow removal, sidewalk snow removal companies? Would it be
City
the
services.
Or would it be the business owners?
No, it'd be city services on behalf of the business owners. But
Have the business owners ever considered just making a contract with somebody?
So we can, yes, individual businesses can do that. The problem is inconsistency because you have vacant buildings that no one's touching. Or lots that no one is removing the snow in front of them.
Right.
So it's an inconsistency. So if you just put it as a service fee for this zone, divided out by the contract dollar amount. Again, 100 buildings, $50 a month per building owner. You got $60,000 a year. That's a heck of a lot of maintenance that you can get done on a $60,000 contract. And you have a mechanism, just like with any other thing, if they're not paying the bill, the building owner doesn't pay the bill, I don't know, you guys put liens on buildings. DSP can't do that.
Right.
That's why I'm saying it's gotta be a public-private.
Same as cutting grass.
Is this similar to some kind of a public-private thing that, say, what does Walmart do?
They're a private company with
Yeah.
billions of dollars, so they don't care.
Yeah.
They have a
No,
contract,
I'm
and,
saying,
and they do
what
do
is-
a contract,
What
Jim.
does the Circle K do to clear their parking lot?
Same thing.
Same thing as well.
Same thing, they build out
They
a
hire
contract
somebody.
with covenants.
But his point
Yeah.
is, he can clear his all day long, but if the community theater doesn't clear theirs,
Who
there's no
cares?
walkway to his business. And nobody's taking care of that. This is where this partnership would help maintain all of downtown. We have plenty of vacant buildings down there that nobody's touching,
Right.
you know.
Well, that's the,
The city has done a great, yes.
that's the concern is, you know, a lot of things have to be worked out. I think the basis, the foundation's there to work something out, but how do you get all business owners to participate and pay? And then who's gonna hound them to pay? When you have 75 or 80% pay, who's gonna go after those last 20 business owners in California or wherever else they're located and make sure they pay?
And that's where I think, and Joe, I think where the community comes in is the community that I talked to, that if they go in, if the city goes in and removes snow in front of the building, they tack that bill, they send that bill to that building owner. If the building owner doesn't pay it, they assess it to their taxes,
The same
on
way
their
we do
property
with-
tax.
I think
So
the same
that would
way we
be
do with
this
grass.
third party that would be doing that instead of the city,
Well-
if this went into effect.
Right, if there's a, like my water bill, if I don't pay my water bill,
Business is a little different.
You
The
shut
city-
your water off.
you shut the water off. If I don't pay my maintenance bill to remove snow from the downtown as part of my ownership of that building, you guys put a tax lien on my building because it's a
I don't know what we.
tax entity.
Yeah,
So
just,
I think this is the logistics of how you do it. It's like, you have a vacant building ordinance that is supposed to be charging them $1,000 every year that they're vacant.
We actually lowered, but yes.
Yeah, you get, well, I think you ought to up it, because then that money could be used to clear the sidewalks. So, you know what I'm saying is, guys, this,
no, I understand.
figure out how to suck the egg on it. I'm just saying, here's an idea.
There's a lot of discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
to be followed, for sure.
But I'm not well, let's just fine them. Well, that doesn't fix it. The snow's still there. What I'm proposing is, let's figure out how we can maintain our community year-round consistently, regardless if there's a business in that building and the building owner cares or not. That all the businesses and building owners that are actively occupying spaces are trying. It'd be really helpful if the ones that aren't trying aren't impeding the value of our buildings, the value of our business, and the attractiveness of our community that we're trying to bring business to. So that's the assistance I would ask from the city, is let's figure that out.
How many, in Broadway and State down there, it's pretty much all of downtown. How many property owners aren't really doing anything to help the group clear up paths on sidewalks? Is it just one guy, one woman? Is it 1 out of 10? Is it 50% of them? What is it?
It's the big,
The math in my head, I would say at about a third,
A third.
because you have about a third of the buildings are vacant. Would that be about right?
yeah, that's, yes.
About a third. I mean, it's 2/3 are actually trying. Outside of snow emergency, I mean, we can try. I can push snow to the curb, but I'm sorry, when it's this high,
Yeah.
it's gonna stay there.
Yeah.
And I think, and that's why the emergency part and having the city do the surge to move the snow out of, I mean, you have to. Building owners aren't gonna move 4 foot of a snow bank. I mean, it's just, we don't have that equipment. And I think you would still have that inside of a contract with a public-private partnership is, yes, a private company can maintain and do all the stuff, but when you have an emergency, that's a surge. Obviously, you're gonna need a lot more help and a lot more equipment to do that, in the priority of which I think you guys have already had established a good plan. So,
I like the fee too, because as a part of a family business with we have to clear it ourselves, but we're not part of downtown. But we have room to move the snow, so I understand that area needs help because there's nowhere to put it. But you have a lot of business owners all around Salem would be like, well, we all have to pay for it. So if there's a fee in place, I think everyone would be like more on board of, it's equal, because now everyone's paying for snow removal.
Well, and it's scoped to this specific area. So not every day, well, they're getting their snow removed. Well, they're paying a fee to do that as a collective. But there is no mechanism for the collective to collect the fee. That's why I'm asking the city to help us.
I think I think it evens it out.
It
And then
evens
that
it
way,
out.
business owners everywhere, like, because I agree, we have room to move our snow. But that wouldn't, and I like the idea of the tax idea, that way people pay, because that would probably be the biggest, I think, issue is some people just wouldn't pay it.
You just tack it onto their property tax. Yippee.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea, and also frees up the rest of the street department to focus on other areas that, you know,
Outside of
during-
emergencies.
And if we're just
Yeah.
talking about that C3 zone, I think that's a good idea. Yeah. But again, contract, making sure that's a priority and they're keeping them to,
Keep it tight. Don't put any loopholes in it.
Evan?
I will note that, given that I used to work in the snow and ice industry and no longer in it, I will note that this isn't completely unheard of in the sense that there are communities in the Northeast, specifically Massachusetts, Rhode Island, where they get a ton of snow. Not necessarily sidewalks, but parking lots, city parking lots, so that they're accessible to where people can frequent the downtown businesses. So, this isn't unprecedented from that perspective. I think to make sure I articulate that. I do think that, to Jeff's point, there's a lot of things that probably just need to be ironed out. And this conversation will probably have to be ongoing. And then, to Will's point, it goes to a bid process once that's put together. So.
That's probably a good point with even the city parking lots. Those aren't focus on keeping the traffic moving. Maybe put that in the scope in the downtown district is you also get the parking lots with it. I just asked the guy, if you just got rid of the snow on sidewalks, and he said, $32,000, half of it's salt. It's like, cool. I don't have $32,000 to help, sorry, but I'll pay my fair share.
you just said 32,000 for the sidewalks.
Just the sidewalks, Lincoln, Pershing,
Oh, yeah.
Lundy, State,
That's
all the
C3.
way over to Second, the whole area.
For 2 years, that's a
No,
2-year
each
contract.
year, right?
For each year
Each year.
with a 2-year commitment.
Oh,
My
okay.
apologies.
Yeah.
So 6
Now, here,
years.
60.
and
Which is-
let's put it in perspective.
too
If it doesn't snow, we still are paying them.
Right.
I misunderstood, I apologize, I mentioned about freeing up the city, I thought you were talking they would do the streets as well.
No,
Okay,
they can't. No.
that's what I was thinking, I apologize.
Yeah, your streets still have to be done by.
No,
the
it's-
So the city, so I
But
retract my last thing.
sidewalks, but if you do the partnership with the parking lots, that's a good point, is you could throw that in the scope of work, saying, hey, we want you to maintain the parking lots too.
Yeah.
Now,
We do maintain the parking lots. The Parks Department came in and helped out, and I was a little bit, just to give you an update, traffic and safety came in, 2 people, and 2 to 3 people, park employees. Park employees, part of the plan is they take care of all the municipal parking lots. So that's where we hit that, because we don't want to have that emergency where you have somewhere to park. So if you're stuck, and I know it might be inconvenient, it's freezing cold, it's uncanny how cold it was, created some of the problem too, but at least you could park somewhere your car across from timber lanes, behind Ezio's, wherever, and walk to where you have to go. And part of this whole challenge we had is, the last time we had the snow, it was fine, but you have to get above 18 degrees for the salt to do its work. If you are not above 18, 15 to 18, salt is about does half its job. Once you get below 15 degrees, you can put all the salt you have underneath Lake Erie, and it's not gonna melt anything until the temperature goes up. So that's this extended cold period we had, which we just got some warmth here today and tomorrow, so that'll help a little bit. But that was also part of the challenge we dealt with.
Any other
Okay.
questions?
Just so I understand what's being proposed, is just for the downtown businesses, you propose that the city form a contract with local snow removal to do the sidewalks, okay? We collect that money, or we pay that money but we collect it from the businesses. The city collects from the
Correct.
businesses.
Building owners.
Building owners. Okay.
Businesses come and go, buildings stick.
And the only area that would be eligible for this type of program would be just
The C3.
downtown.
This-
The
that-
C3.
The C3 area.
And one other question, why do you think that the city would be better at getting compliance with people paying these fees than DSP would be?
I'm a volunteer, I can
Yeah.
quit.
He has no control.
You're elected, you're stuck.
Mhm.
You also have legal authority, I don't. The full faith and credit of the Salem, Ohio Chamber. That's why.
I appreciate
No problem.
you
Thanks.
coming and speaking and giving us some great ideas. I do think that this needs some further communication and conversation.
I just want to say one last thing, Mr. Klein, while you're up there. I really, really appreciate you coming in.
Yes.
And the reason I appreciate that is you came in with a problem and a solution, not just a problem, and you helped trying to fix the issues at hand. And I really appreciate that, so.
And I want to thank you for representing your Downtown Salem Partnership Group,
Yes.
because there were a lot of comments and just you showed up, so thank you for that.
Thank you.
I'm very happy you came too, and I do like possible solutions being provided instead of just griping.
Yes.
So I do very
my
much
favorite part.
appreciate it. Yeah.
With that said,
I've done this before, right?
Yeah, you've done this before, yeah,
Yeah.
good.
with that said, I'm gonna call
Thanks.
this meeting adjourned and we will continue conversations. Thank you.